Hello and welcome to the Box Score. I'm your host, Sam DeCoste, here to remind you that Italy hasn't played a World Cup knockout game since 2006, believe it or not, and we're thrilled to be here with you tonight live on YouTube. There's only one place we can start tonight, March Madness. The Final Four is now upon us, and everything that's happened up to this point has been just as expected. Just kidding. But Duke will play North Carolina, and Villanova will face off against Kansas in the men's Final Four. I'm now joined by Michael Logerwell, Ben Sher, and Danielle Dubois to take a hard look at how we think the rest of the tournament will play out. Michael, over to you first. Of the Final Four, who's going to take the cake?
Well, with apologies to my parents, I have to pick the University of Kansas to win it. I just think they have so many good guards with Christian Braun and Ochai Agbaji, and now that Remy Martin's back from his mostly season-long injury, and he's playing like one of the best guards in the country, that team's just going to be really, really hard to stop. Despite maybe a couple question marks down low, I just think Kansas has the veteran guard play to win.
Danielle, do you agree with that?
I don't. I have Villanova winning it all, and obviously it's going to be a toss-up from what we've seen earlier on in this March Madness season, but with lead point scorer in Colin Gillespie averaging 15.5 points per game, he also leads the team with assists with 3.3. He has a 43% field goal percentage as well. They are stacked with talent on Villanova, and I just feel like it really could be their year. Ben?
I've said it once on this show before, and I'm going to say it again right now. I'm the narrative guy, all right? I have Duke winning the NCAA tournament. Just based on their last couple games versus Texas Tech versus Arkansas, they've been proven that they can actually get down and play dirty basketball. They can play bad basketball and still come out on top. It's a very physical game. It's something that separates the men from the boys in this tournament. It's honestly how St. Peter's got so far, just playing, cutthroat basketball, really. But Duke can win in all variety of ways. And of course, Coach K. I mean, to go out as the winner would be amazing. I feel as though only Duke fans are the only people on the planet that are hoping for that outcome. But we'll see. Really, just at the end of the day, I think physical ball is going to separate the men from the boys here.
And let's build on that for a second, because this is Coach K's swan song. He's been coach of Duke for 42 years, and this is his final season. He will retire at the end of the season. The season could end tomorrow night against UNC. Do you think that he'll go out on top? Well, clearly you do, Ben. Winning his 6th title?
Yes, I do. I think that, UNC had a very easy bracket getting here. It's not that they're not going to be a challenge, but I do think Duke takes it. I think that that team just has a invigoration that no one else can really get right now. It's more of an intangible thing. So I do have full confidence that Duke can take it home.
Ben, I've never heard someone say, yeah, I want to pick the narratives, and then they say, give me the 1 seed. North Carolina, I think that game's going to be close, but I think it's going to be really tough for Duke just to walk in and beat North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina might have an easy schedule, but they still beat Baylor. They still beat UCLA. Those are good teams. I wouldn't necessarily call that easy.
That's not an easy schedule. They beat the number 1 seed in their bracket.
In the second round. Coach K's swan song is going to sink like a swan boat in the public garden.
See what you did there. Not bad.
What can I say?
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. To me, the game of the tournament that really put this over for me was the Duke-Texas Tech game. I just feel like from what I've seen there, after that game, I sat down and said out loud, I went, Duke can beat anyone in this tournament. And with that confidence, I'm just going to go for it.
Danielle, we haven't heard from you in a while. Chime in.
I honestly think the Duke-Texas Tech game, while it was good, they did barely beat them. And yes, Texas Tech is a good team, but I mean, I feel like Duke could have done way better in that game. And I do think UNC will give them a run for their money. And I do think that UNC has a possibility of beating them. I honestly think Duke has kind of struggled this season. I mean, they have had their highs, but I think they are just really pushing this year. And I know they're trying to get Coach K another championship win, but I don't know if they can live up to that pressure.
All right, moving on. Let's pivot over to women's March Madness. The women's Final Four is set to tip off on Saturday. 3 of the Final Four reached this stage last year, the only exception being Louisville. They'll face South Carolina, while UConn will play Stanford. Ben, over to you first. Who will be the women's March Madness champions?
I'm going to pick another huge underdog. It's going to be UConn.
Yikes.
Said nobody ever. UConn the underdogs.
Yeah.
March Madness.
Yeah, it's like 14 straight appearances. Which team has Paige Beckers? I think it comes down to that a lot. It was,
She's not even the best player in the tournament.
I would say otherwise based on the NC State game. I mean, that was a game where they really could have lost it, and the whole team kind of sat back and played good basketball, and shots came up huge going into OT. When you have a game like that, especially like right before the Final Four and right before the championship game, I think that gives a team, like a whole team, a ton of confidence that they can beat anyone in any situation.
Well, I'm sorry. First of all, the only reason UConn won that game is because they played 80 miles from their campus. And not to mention that their starting center, I'm pretty sure, broke her wrist. So that's going to be a huge obstacle for them to overcome if they even want to beat Stanford.
Yeah. Dorka Yuha has had a wrist injury. She'll be out for the rest of the tournament. There you go. Danielle, how about you? Who do you think is going to win women's March Madness?
I have South Carolina winning it all. They have been hot all season. And yes, UConn has done well, not as well as past seasons, but they are playing the defending champs, Stanford. And I think that will be a very tough game for them. But South Carolina has a prized possession in junior Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston is an absolutely star-studded player.
Good.
She averages 54.2% on field goal percentage and has a lead point scoring on the team with 16.8 points per game, which is higher than any of her other competition in the league. I think South Carolina is here to win it all.
Yeah, I also have South Carolina winning it all. And just going off what Danielle said, Aaliyah Boston is unstoppable, unrelenting. Creighton was triple teaming her in the post, and she was still getting the ball and getting her own rebound and putting it back in. I mean, she put up 28 points and 22 rebounds against North Carolina earlier.
No big deal, right?
Yeah.
20-point double-double, no big deal.
Like,
easy
that's
work.
just amazing. And they are one of the best one of the best overall rebounding teams in the country. And Louisville kind of struggles with that. But I will say the only part that worries me about picking South Carolina is I know Louisville is really good at forcing turnovers. They play really aggressive when the ball's in the air on the pass. So if South Carolina's offense can stagnate a little, and if Haley Van Lilith can really turn up and have like a Kobe game, then I would not be surprised. But I still have South Carolina. I just think they're the best.
You have to think it looks like a mismatch on paper. Louisville against South Carolina. South Carolina have maybe the best defense in the nation. They're first in field goal percentage, points per play, and they're second in allowing second chance points and first in the nation in defensive rebounds. So they're locked down. I'm not sure how Louisville is going to be able to match up with that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough, but South Carolina's guards need to show up.
Now, how will UConn handle Stanford in the next round?
They won't handle Stanford.
That's
how they'll do it. I mean, Haley Jones has been outstanding this postseason for Stanford. She has double-doubles in her last 2 games, not to mention that she's also a really good passer, and the whole offense really just flows through her. Not to mention, you want to talk about 14 straight tournament appearances for UConn? How about Stanford, 24 straight wins?
Yeah?
What do you have to say about that, Ben?
These are impressive stats. I just want to go back to UConn and say that, I understand there's injuries. They look, outmatched in certain capacities. But look, I understand this is college, not professional, but great organizations find ways to win regardless of their circumstances.
Stanford has a great coach, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not taking anything away from the other teams, but I do think that, it's UConn women's basketball synonymous just with the sport in general.
That being said, nobody thinks Stanford's going to go back-to-back. They are the defending champions. They are one of the best teams in the nation, but none of you think that they're going to get past South Carolina.
No.
No.
No. I mean, Stanford's good, but just repeating is hard. And South Carolina lost a close game to Stanford last year. So it's just blood in the water. You know, they've been hit. They want to come and hit them back.
Repeating is hard. I could not have put that better myself. We're going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Premier League. Who's going to win the league, Manchester City or Liverpool? That and more after the break. You're watching The Box Score live.
All right, coming back in 10 seconds. Ready, camera one. Camera one, you wide shot of the entire thing, and in 3, 2, 1, take it. Tell them cue.
Welcome back to Emerson College. Emerson
Camera
trails
4, get a shot of the players moving across the court.
10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point. As
Camera
the
2,
team
close up on the person
finishes
shooting.
their Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away and score this lead.
Camera 1, get a close up, follow them over.
Emerson trails WPI by 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Camera 1, close up on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Welcome back to The Box Score Live. I'm Sam DeCoste, joined on stage by Danielle Dubois and Ben Sher. Only 9 games remain in the Premier League season, and we're in for a photo finish right at the top. Manchester City sit at the top of the table with 70 points, and Liverpool are right behind them with 69. Man City led by as many as 11 points at the turn of the year, but are clinging to first for dear life with Liverpool lurking. Ben, over to you first. When it's all said and done, who's going to win the league?
Look, this is going to be difficult to prove, but Liverpool's going to win the league.
No.
Honestly, I feel like this whole kind of end of the season run could just be labeled the adventures of Pep and Klopp. And it's all going to come to a head at the Etihad on April 10th.
It's a very cute way to put this title
yes,
race.
Yeah.
It's like a little cartoon Dr. Seuss adventure.
Yeah, you got a team that was behind, and now they're coming all the way back. And on that note, I think that Liverpool has to win out. I mean, they have to win every game. They don't have a choice. If any team in the Prem is going to do it, it's going to be this one. Look, they didn't come this far. They didn't come this far back to just roll over and get second place. They're coming for first, and that's what they want. They're a scrappier team, and I think Liverpool is the best in the Prem at punishing your mistakes. I think that Man City definitely has to play more of their game to win. They have to have possession, they have to have tempo, they have to be playing their game, and when that doesn't happen, they can be beat. Whereas I think any game Liverpool steps into, it doesn't matter if things are disrupted. They have star players that will come through.
Danielle, how about you?
I think that's interesting, and I could kind of see that because they do have an easy schedule coming forward with Watford, and that's a pretty easy win for them, and if they lose, then they shouldn't deserve to win. But I really think it's going to be Man City. Man City has top scorers in Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez, and they are absolutely star-studded. They are a great team. They don't have any holes. They have a great defense. They can play the physical game. They can get down dirty with it, and I really think that it's their year. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the team, and I think, yeah, sure, they are starting to fall behind, and Liverpool is closely catching up, but I think Man City is ready to put in the work for it.
Now, you talk about how this team has no holes, and they're, I would say striker. If they have Phil Foden playing at the false 9, that's kind of a weakness. Defensively, they've been very stout this season. They've only allowed 18 goals all season long. That's actually first in Europe, which is very hard to believe, honestly, because if you look on paper, like Ruben Diaz, phenomenal player, he's injured. You have Laporte, fantastic player, he's always been. John Stones is not a fantastic player. He's not very good. And with Ruben Diaz hurt, I don't know. I don't trust that City back line. I think they have a mistake in them as long as they're just walking on the field. And I think, they're prone to fall asleep in the big moments.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about City.
And look, Liverpool does admittedly have the harder schedule coming down the line. I mean, their biggest 3 games, they're versus United, versus City, and that's at City too. That's at the Etihad, and Tottenham.
And Liverpool have
That'll
to
be
win that
hard.
game.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they have
If
to
they
win all.
don't win that game, no, it's that game more than any of them.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't
Yeah.
beat City
City.
at Etihad, the title race is over.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It's all coming to a head right there. But look, I'm going to go back to it. this is a team with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, they were out of December. What would we have been standing up here saying? That Liverpool was going to come for the title? No, absolutely not.
God, no.
They're back here now. They're within striking distance. I just don't think a team is going to let that chance slip away. This is a sport that has a lot of pride in it. It's a very old sport with a lot of pride. I think these boys are ready to get it done.
Danielle, Liverpool have won their last 9 games straight, and they've outscored their opponents 23-2.
Yeah, I know.
They're on a hot streak like
They
the
are.
league hasn't seen before, and you think they're not going to catch up to City? When they match up, it's going to be the 2 hottest teams in England, and Liverpool are going to be red hot.
It's going to be a very competitive game, and I think Man City really needs to step up that game if they really do want to win it all. But I mean, at this point, they're really defending their lead right here. I mean, they're first. They want to stay in that position. They are ready to play the kind of dirtier game. They're ready to play defense, do what it takes at this point, because they know Liverpool is coming hot behind them. So they know that they really just got to do their best, continue to play out, and hopefully it works out for them.
And Ben, Liverpool this year, more than when they won the title a few years ago, they have the depth. They didn't have the depth they have right now. They have Jota, who's scoring goals. They have Luis Diaz, who just got signed in the winter transfer window. They have the depth that they haven't had before, and they could really compete with City this time around.
And of course, they also have amazing top players as well. Like, this is a completely well-rounded team. I feel like this is a great race, because this is a race to the finish where you can confidently be like, these are the best 2 teams in the league, and they're going to be fighting out for it. I agree with you on depth, and Salah and Virgil and everyone. It's a whole team that's not going to be thrown off their game. There are too many players that can come in and help out and not skip a beat. Versus, Man City, I'm not sure that when they get thrown off that they're going to be able to recover, especially in a game as big as the Liverpool one.
It's March 30th, and the title race is coming down to the finish. Once again, only 1 point separating City and Liverpool down the stretch. Let's move on down the table over to the 4th spot. The top 4 race is just as exciting as ever, and there are 4 teams all within 6 points of each other fighting for the final Champions League place. Arsenal sit in 4th right now above Tottenham, Manchester United, and West Ham. Danielle, will Arsenal hold on to 4th place, or are they going to get cut off?
I think they're going to get cut off, and I have Man United taking over the 4th place
No, you
spot.
don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Because, I mean, they have Ronaldo. I mean, come on, guys. One of the best soccer players of all time, who is their lead goal scorer with 12 goals and 24 points. But also, not to mention, Bruno Fernandes is their 2nd in goals with 9 goals, and 2nd in assists also with 6 assists. Man United is absolutely amazing. I really do think that they can come in and take over that 4th spot. I really do think they can do it.
They're so amazing that they're 6th, and they're 4 points behind Arsenal. I'm sorry,
hey.
I want Ben to speak, but I have to chime in because that's really funny. Ben, now you go ahead.
Look, I have Tottenham winning, or not winning, but getting to 4th.
Right, not winning the title.
No, of course not. You have Chelsea locked in at 3, and we have this race coming down to it. I believe Tottenham has a very easy schedule, certainly significantly easier than Arsenal's, in my opinion. Tottenham is, these last couple fixtures, they're playing against teams that are either not really playing for anything right now or completely out of competition, deep into relegation. So you're not going to get as much fight as you would at the end, like these end-of-season games. If you had playing teams like right above relegation who really want to stay up. That's it. Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Leicester. They do have a Liverpool matchup, which that will be difficult. But even winning 7 of your last 8 is going to put you in pretty good standing.
You think Spurs, of all teams in the country, are going to win 7 of 8 games to end the season?
I think they can. That's what I'm pitching to you now.
You're pitching me
I don't think
that
so.
Spurs
I don't
will
think
win
so.
7 of 8
No.
games to end the season.
Absolutely.
Before the international break, they won back-to-back games for the first time all of 2022.
They can go all the way.
They just had to win 7 on the trot.
Look, and we talked earlier, they don't have that many contributors for goal scorers, but guess what? Every single one of these games, you can just let Harry Kane take over.
No.
can't do
See,
that.
what's
You can't.
interesting, though, is Man United is currently in the market for the Spurs striker, Harry Kane. So if they lose him, I think they're done. Like,
Well-
they're relying off of him solely. If Man United gets them, I think they could easily take over that 4th spot over Tottenham.
You have Son, who has 13 goals. Kane has 12. They're an amazing duo together. Behind that, nobody on Spurs has more than 2 league goals this year. So if Kane and Son have an off day, Spurs have an off day.
Or if
and
Kane leaves.
They're wildly inconsistent. This top 4 race is so head-scratching because all teams are inconsistent.
Oh,
Spurs, they beat City. Who saw that coming? Then the next week they lost to Burnley because they're Spurs. They'll let you down when you least expect it, and that's what they always do. They always bait you back in every time. They're baiting you right now.
All I gotta say, at any sport on the professional level, eventually, if you're playing middling teams, you can just let the big dogs eat. okay? You can let your two top goal scorers go in and look, these teams aren't going to be playing stout defense against them. There's no incentive to beat the Spurs in any of these matchups.
Okay, now I'm going to beat up on Danielle's pick now because Man United, that is outlandish. I don't believe it. I love Ronaldo. I love the attacking talent they have on this team, but Ronaldo doesn't really feel like he's much of a fit on this team right now. The morale is low. There's no creativity, no consistency. There's no continuity or fluidity between anybody. This team has a lot of similarities to Juve when Ronaldo was there. They have a carousel at manager. They have a top-heavy attack, but they can't break teams down.
Hey, I mean, they have to face Leicester City and Everton soon, which should be easy games. I mean, on paper should be easy games for them. Obviously, you don't know because, like we said, all four teams that could be in the top four are very inconsistent. But I really do believe that they can make a push. I do.
And on paper, Man United are also fighting. They're 2 points ahead of West Ham. That's just beautiful. I'm surprised either of you picked Arsenal because Arsenal, they are in fourth right now. Say what you want about Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, but they are 4 points ahead with the game at hand, by the way. No one's even mentioned that they have the game at hand. And Arsenal, they've really put themselves together well this year. They have Emile Smith-Rowe, who's had 9 goals this year out of nowhere. Bukayo Saka has 9 goals as well. They have a United game on April 23rd, and if they win that game, I think the top 4 race is over. But Arsenal, I don't know how they're going to slip it. I don't think United's going to catch up on them, or West Ham, and definitely not Spurs.
All right, look, I mean, I said it earlier, I do feel as though that Arsenal has the toughest schedule, but you know what, Sam? We'll see. We'll see.
We will see. That is how the game works. Anyways, that was a great discussion. We're going to take one last commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll head to Major League Baseball and celebrate the end of the lockout with the return of the mystery draft. The Box Score Live will be right back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jared Tatro on the street for Common Sense, a game show for normal people to test their life skills and average knowledge. But today we're going to harass some Emerson College students to see if they have any knowledge of daily life skills. They probably don't, but who knows? Some of them might surprise me. Let's find out. Excuse me. How many inches are in a foot?
4, I don't know.
No, 12! Ma'am, excuse me. What colors are on the American flag?
Purple Emerson colors.
Oh my God! What is wrong with you? Excuse me, ma'am. Who is the most recent winner of Best Actress at the Academy Awards?
Genevieve Powley. That's me.
I don't have time for this. Goodbye. How much money is 1,000 euros in United States currency? What? Excuse me, sir. What is the capital of Virginia?
Richmond?
I think that's true. Yes, correct. Have a good day. Excuse me, sir. Who's the president of France? They don't know. All right, let's go. I think I scared them. I think they were younger than I thought. Excuse me. What is objectively the best planet?
Pluto.
No, wrong. No, it's the sun. The sun is like the king of planets. Goodbye.
Welcome back to the Box Score. I'm Sam DeCoste alongside Michael Logerwell and Danielle Dubois. Baseball is back, and the end of the lockout ignited an entertaining offseason of player movement. To recap free agency, we're bringing back a fan-favorite game here on the Box Score, Mystery Draft. Now, for those of you who don't know how the game works, it's all about stats. Here at the Box Score, we love stats. So we created a game entirely built on stats, and a game I like to call Mystery Draft. And we're going to put Michael and Danielle on the spot right now. We've compiled a series of graphics with 2 sets of MLB player statistics who each play the same position. We have sets for shortstop, outfielder, and starting pitcher. The catch? Michael and Danielle have no clue who the players are, and neither do you. Michael and Danielle will have to pick who they would rather have without knowing the player's name. After that, we'll reveal who the players are on the screen, and the answers may surprise you. It's a part of the mystery draft. Let's get started. Let's see the first graphic right now. on the screen, we're about to see, here they are, shortstops. So there's two shortstops on the screen. You only have one of them. You got batting average, hits, home runs, and RBIs.
Well, first thing that stands out to me is shortstop number 2. Looks like he's played a lot more than the other shortstop because he seems to have a lot more counting stats than the other guy. But, oh, wow. Yeah, this
Higher
is
RBI.
tough. I'm going to go
Mysterious.
shortstop number 2. I'm going to take the numbers. Give me all the stats.
Danielle?
You know what? I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with 1.
That's beautiful to hear. We love competition on Mystery Draft. Let's see who they are. Let's see who you picked on the screen. What shortstops have you gone with?
Let's
Trevor
start.
Story and
All right.
Carlos Correa.
Carlos
Okay.
Correa, that's easy for me to defend. Not only is Carlos Correa a great hitter, like it shows there, 26 home runs is a lot from a high-quality defensive position like shortstop, but also Carlos Correa plays shortstop at like one of the highest levels in Major League Baseball. He was a Gold Glove winner this year, and he's just so good in the stability he brings to the infield and the leadership. Carlos Correa is really the perfect shortstop and the perfect player to get.
And Trevor
Congrats to the
Story,
Twins.
he signed a 6-year, $140 million deal with the Red Sox, which is very surprising because the Red Sox never spend money. John Henry is very cheap, as we all know. But in Boston, he may end up playing second base. Michael, how do you feel about that?
So I think, personally, I'd put Xander at second base, but I know since Xander Bogaerts is like the guy in Boston, he's not gonna move for really anyone. He's pretty much being Derek Jeter to Trevor Story's Alex Rodriguez, but I think he'll fit in well at shortstop. It's an easier position to play defensively, and Trevor Story is already a really good defensive shortstop. So I think it'll play well. I think his splits will even out. The Coors Field thing doesn't really stick like people think. Matt Holliday played really well, and Arenado was down a little this year, but he's still a good hitter. So I think it's a good move for the Red Sox.
And Danielle, you have Carlos Correa, who's now on the Minnesota Twins, which really surprised everybody. He has an opt-out year in every single year of his contract. How do you feel about getting Correa over Story?
You know, I'm okay with choosing Story over Correa. Honestly, I do love Correa, but as a Red Sox fan, I am so excited to see Trevor Story come out and play for us. Like Michael did say, obviously, it is a little bit of a competition right now with Xander Bogaerts and the shortstop in the second base. But I really think the Red Sox did need a little bit more depth, especially defensively. And I think Trevor Story coming in will allow us to have a little bit more defensive depth. So I'm really excited, and I'm perfectly fine with that choice.
All right, beautiful. Let's move on to the second graphic. Now we have outfielders for you both to choose. And in a moment, you'll see the screen show you the two outfielders that you can choose from.
These are great-looking outfielders.
They're really good-looking outfielders, and there they are.
Ah, here we go.
Beautiful. Okay, so there you go. The same stats as the shortstops, and there they
All
are for you
right.
to choose from.
Ooh, easy pick for me, outfielder number 2. I mean, the ratio of hits to home runs, power hitter. I know batting average isn't a great stat to look at who's the better hitter, and 2.72 and 2.65 are really close, but more home runs, better.
I think I'm going to have to go with the first one. I'll keep switching it up.
Switching it up.
Yeah.
That's what Mystery Draft is all about.
Exactly.
I'm glad that you're subscribing to that theory. Let's see who you picked. Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber.
Oh my God, both good picks.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
You know what? I have to defend Kyle Schwarber, so I will. And he is an elite hitter, probably one of the better left-handed hitters available on the market this year. The only question is defensively, but I think with the universal DH, the Philadelphia Phillies will have him and Castellanos rotating, so they won't have two defensive liabilities in the field. But man, Kyle Schwarber was on one for the Nationals last year.
And for the Red Sox.
And for the,
Yeah, and for the Red Sox too. And he's just a premier left-handed hitter, and he's a really fun, like, blue-collar guy. Like, I could really see myself, going and getting a beer with Kyle Schwarber at the bar.
Everybody loves Schwarber. I mean, as a Red Sox fan, being able to go to Fenway Park and see him last season was absolutely incredible. I loved him, and I was almost guaranteed that every single time I'd go to the park, I'd at least see one dinger from him. So he's a good hitter.
He's a good leadoff hitter to have if you're Philadelphia. Now, Chris Bryant, the other side of the fence. How do you feel about that, Danielle?
I'm perfectly fine with that. I love Chris Bryant, and honestly, it's sad that his Giants' journey has come to an end because I do like the Giants myself. But
It was a very short spell with the Giants, that being said.
yeah, I mean, I love Chris Bryant. I really do think that he can add in a lot of depth. I think he's a great go-to hitter. I think he's actually perfect. I think he's a great hitter, and I'm perfectly fine with choosing him over Schwarber.
Super versatile in the
Very
field.
versatile.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Bud Black said he was going to play a lot of left field, which will be great for him. You know, I mean, left field's deep, but Chris Bryant's a good athlete.
He can do it.
He can play all over the field. He's just, I feel like he's a good guy to have on a team. And
Yeah.
he won MVP winner, Chris Bryant, too.
He's reliable. He's so reliable, I feel like.
Would you have a beer with him over Schwarber?
Oh, probably not, but I definitely think I could hold my own with Chris Bryant. Kyle Schwarber would drink me under the table.
Well, Chris Bryant's a 4-time All-Star, signed a 7-year deal to be in Colorado, and now with Story out of the picture,
It's a good
he's
deal
going to
for him.
assume the face of the franchise in Colorado, a franchise that is struggling.
Him
Yeah.
and Ryan McMahon.
It's a good deal for the Rockies.
It's not a bad deal at all. All right, beautiful. Those are the outfielders. Last but not least, it's pitching, and that's such a big
Woo.
part of the game. So let's see starting pitchers on the screen, 2 pitchers that have switched teams this offseason. Here you go. Now, different stats are on the screen now. We have ERA, strikeouts, walks, and whip.
Yeah, so Sam, as a pitcher myself, I think the most important thing is limiting people getting on base. So that's why I'm going with starting pitcher number 1, because
Okay.
his whip, which is walks, hits over innings pitched, is lower, and that's just really good. If he has a .86 whip and a 2.37 and that many strikeouts, I mean, this dude's got to be one of the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I'm also taking 1.
You're both picking 1. Well, that's kind of lame. Now we only have. It's not how mystery draft thrives, but that's what you decided. I love the pitcher analysis like that. It just
Yeah.
makes our show next level. Anyways, let's see who you picked. Who is pitcher number 1?
Max
Max
Scherzer.
Scherzer.
Over Robbie Ray.
Yeah,
Happy with that?
I am. I mean, in a vacuum in one season, Max Scherzer is amazing, and he's a good pick, too. I mean, just the mentality that he brings, not only on the mound every 5th day, but I feel like just to the team as a whole. If you have Max Scherzer on your team, he will simply not allow you to lose. Like, he just won't. I mean, I remember he was pissed at Dave Roberts for patting him on the back after taking him out in a game. Like, this dude just wants to compete no matter what. When he took he was bunting and he took that baseball and off his eye and his nose and he had a black eye, he still went out there and pitched. This dude just wants to win, and I think that will be the best part of him for his signing with the Mets, is he will turn that team into a pretender, a perennial pretender, into an actual legitimate contender.
Now, here's a thought. Max Scherzer, he's 37 years old. The Mets offered him a 3-year, $130 million contract. That's the largest financial commitment a team has ever made to a 37-year-old pitcher. Is that really the smartest financial decision if you're the Mets? Could they have spent younger and invested younger instead of getting a 37-year-old dinosaur at pitcher?
I think what the Mets are really trying to do is I think they're really trying to say, hey, we have this allotted amount of time to try to make a deep playoff run, and we are going to try to do it with Scherzer. And I think that's a great plan by them. And honestly, yeah, sure, he is getting older, but he is great. I mean, he's a great go-to pitcher. He's reliable, and like Michael said, he's a team player. I mean, he does what he can to win that game, and he does everything he can, even if he is hurt. And so I think it's a good decision by the Mets for now. Obviously, I think later on maybe he'll get a little bit older and it won't be as great. But obviously, it's 3 years. I think it's a make or break deal kind of for them, and I think they're just really going to try to win it all with him.
Really quickly, let's give
Yeah.
some love to our man, Robbie
Oh,
Ray.
yeah,
He went to
gotta.
the Seattle Mariners this
Cy Young
offseason. Had a breakout year with Toronto last year.
I think this is a really good. I think, honestly, I like this move better for the Mariners than I do for Scherzer to the Mets. Just because Robbie Ray is kind of a risk. That's a risky move. Robbie Ray has only really had one good year where he's had it all together. And when he was the best pitcher in the American League. But I think this is a good move for the Mariners because it gives them an ace. I can't remember the last time the Mariners had an ace was Felix Hernandez, and that's getting up to like 6-7 years ago. So I think the stability he'll bring to the team, it's one of the younger teams in baseball, especially on the staff. Get him, get Logan Gilbert. That team is just going to be good.
And for Ray, he signed a 5-year, $115 million contract to go to Seattle. But that's Mystery Draft. If we learn anything from this segment, it's that stats mean something, but not everything. That's part of the mystery. Thank you for joining us on Mystery Draft. Now, moving on, Formula One racing is back, and our F1 correspondent, Jeff Grundy, is here to give you a rundown on the racers you need to look out for this season.
Thanks, Sam. Tonight we're talking about Formula One. Sure, Formula One racing is a sport you can't really do at home unless you got $12 million lying around, a dedicated team of professional wheel changers, one of those big hamster water feeders but filled with race fuel. But a kid can dream. Quickly, let's go over the basics. Number one, the sport consists of 18 cars from 10 different teams racing on 23 different circuits around the world, competing to determine the best driver and the best team at the end of the year. Most tracks look a little like this, a lot of curves. Or something like this with a lot of straights. But ew, it's never like this. That's super gross. It looks like NASCAR. Let's just all agree we're never going to let that happen again. Number two, each of the 10 teams have 2 drivers who compete against each other and the rest of the grid for points that apply for both competitions. But, as you can see here, teammates don't really have to get along. Number 3, the Mercedes team wins a lot. In the Lewis Hamilton era, they won 7 straight drivers' titles and 8 constructors' titles. However, their winning is a direct response of how much money they invest in the team. They're regularly the team who invests the most money and wins the most. They spent $459 million to ensure that they won in 2020. Okay, so moving on, we're talking about drivers and everything, and that's not the wrong slide. Wrong slide. Next slide. Now, time for you to get introduced to some drivers and our favorite storylines for this season. Let's start with the boy king himself, Max Verstappen. Max is the reigning champion at only 24 years old. He finally broke Lewis Hamilton's chokehold on the title race this year, ending his 7-year streak. He's a dirty driver, constantly forcing himself through gaps and relying on the other driver to kind of chicken out. Do we like to see him win the championship? Sure. Is Red Bull just another hype house with their little drama queen team principal? Yeah. Will they keep hyping Max up into thinking he's the next Schumacher? You betcha. Only time will tell if it pays off. Next up is Carlos Sainz. Ferrari's newest weapon is the son of 2-time World Rally champion Carlos Sainz Sr. Carlos has been racing for F1 since 2015, but ever since joining Ferrari, he's netted them a podium finish, his 7th podium in his whole career. Compared to his teammate Charles Leclerc, Carlos is an underdog. He's the de facto 2nd driver behind Charles, which makes him easier to root for. If I'm rooting for anyone to return Ferrari to their previous greatness, why can't it be this scrappy Spanish underdog? Last but not least, we have George Russell. Is he awkward? Sure. Can he take a picture to save his life? Nope. But is he the future of Mercedes? Maybe. Russell has been driving in Formula One for Williams ever since 2019. He was scouted for the Mercedes Driver Academy in 2017 and has been working for a spot on the top team ever since. I want to direct our attention here. We watch as Russell slaps around previous Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas after crashing into him. All jokes aside, however, I think the confidence Mercedes have in him is scary. And since they've publicly said that they think he's better than Verstappen, our current champion, all eyes will be on the Mercs this season. You did it! You're a bona fide F1 expert. Now, get your helmet on, find a rich family member that you can extort for millions, and get in the car. Haas needs skilled and experienced drivers, and that Mazepin money's getting a little tight. For the box score, I'm Jeff Grundy.
Thanks, Jeff. Glad to see the F1 season up and running. In other news, Malcolm Butler has come out of retirement and is back with the New England Patriots. Ben is here with the lowdown.
Super Bowl hero Malcolm Butler is back. The former Pro Bowl corner signed a 2-year, team-friendly deal worth up to $9 million. We all remember his interception of Russell Wilson on the goal line in Super Bowl 49, but since then he's become a reliable corner, even inking a $61 million extension in Tennessee before abruptly retiring due to personal reasons last summer. After J.C. Jackson's departure, Butler is a welcomed veteran in a shaky Patriots secondary. And as much of an upgrade as Butler to the Patriots, questions do remain. Will he show signs of regression after a year off from the game? Has he taken time to address the personal issues that kept him off the field in 2021? Regardless, the Patriots secondary will be happy with any help they can get. Butler could become a core piece of their stout defense again, and even if he doesn't regain a starting role, the nostalgia is priceless for Pats fans.
Patriots and the band's back together, so to speak. But Ben, it's not 2015. How meaningful is this signing actually going to be for the Patriots? Is he really that much of an upgrade?
Look, I mean, our secondary is so weak currently, or the Patriots secondary is so weak currently that
Nice save.
yes. But people do forget that before Malcolm Butler retired, Malcolm Butler actually had a really good camp and was looking really good to play
he
with
had a
Arizona.
great training camp with the Arizona Cardinals.
all right. You know what? These are NFL players. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt here, okay? They're professionals. You know, like I said earlier, people are happy to see him back, so we'll see what happens.
Well, at least people are happy. That's what it's all about. That's all the time we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight live on The Box Score. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EIV Box Score. You can also follow me at the Sam DeCoste, and keep your eyes peeled for our next episode for some more red-hot analysis like this. The Toronto Blue Jays are winning the World Series this year. It's going to happen. For Michael Logerwell, Danielle Dubois, Ben Sher, and Jeff Grundy, I'm Sam DeCoste, and we'll see you next time. We're out.